Hey YouTube, Fritzmina, Fritzy, whatever. Here, I know for those of you that saw my first video on my YouTube channel, No Trump Fritz, I decided to, since I'm new to this, do a video on what I do. For the past couple of years here on a daily basis. We've been doing a lot of remodeling on our house, so this is kind of a do-it-yourself video. So I'm gonna show you guys what I'm doing to save money, I suppose. I'll show you what we currently have done to our master bathroom. We've had a lot of help from my father. He was if you watched my first video, he was a contractor. He's basically done the drywall for me. We ripped out our stand-up shower in our master bathroom and turned it into a closet and tore out our garden tub, and we're putting a clawfoot tub in. And to save money, I'm going to do like I did in my kitchen and in my hall bath, my guest bath. I resurfaced the countertops because they just want an obscene amount of money for these counters and vanities, and unless you're spending out the butt to get granite or marble or butcher block style, whatever, you're spending out the butt to get Formica. And it's cheaply made, and you can actually make it better doing this, make it last longer actually, by resurfacing it. And this is done right over the Formica and right over the crappy bases that they put in these houses that hold the counters, which are basically pressed wood or particle. You can prime right over this crap and make it look really nice. All right, so I'm gonna try and see if I can't flip this camera around. Well, here, I guess I could turn it around and show you. Again, bear with me, I'm not never really recorded videos, so here, I'll show y'all. This is what we've done thus far. You can see the floor we just put in. Well, my dad laid actually. This is where the shower was. It is now a closet with louver doors. Don't mind this shit here. This tack stripping, we're finishing all this. This will be mudded like what you see over here, and actually finished so I can paint. They like to hang these pre-papered drywall up in here, and it just sucks. It's not even standard drywall, but so that's that. This is the tub we're gonna be putting in. It's not connected currently, it's just sitting there. Replace the toilet. This is the well, this is the counter. It's something. This is what I'm going to be resurfacing, like I did my kitchen. And you can see I've done the prep already on this. We've got new sinks to drop in there, better sinks. So I figured I would do this while they're out. I've already done the prepping. I've laid painter's visqueen down here. You can see I have paper taped around it, just because when you're rolling this primer, sometimes it can drip off the roller or your brush when you're cutting in, whatever, and I don't want to have to go over and try and get this crap off my nice linoleum tiles here that we've put down, because anybody that watches this, if you try it, try and do some of this resurfacing, what you're going to want to use is Kills primer. It's oil base. You want to use oil base because that stuff dries like concrete. It will come off. And I use I'm using a black oil base for the base of my counter. Uh, this is what you're going to want. That's the clear coat. Bear with me now. Where we live, we have an IGA, so I get their brand because it's actually really good. But it's an oil-based exterior alkali house and trim gloss enamel, which works really nice. I used it on my interior kitchen cabinets. I used it in my guest bathroom for the base of that cabinet, and it's just gorgeous, very beautiful sheen, and it's oil based. So now keep in mind, you want to mix this with a thinner so that it dries better and faster. Otherwise, you're gonna be finding like what a lot of YouTubers find. I see these people doing themselves. It takes 2 to 3 weeks and still hasn't dried. Well, it's oil based, so it's going to take forever to dry. So if you get like a paint thinner, I have other crap in these cups here, but you can take and you can put a ratio of your oil base in this cup, and you put some paint thinner in there, or acetone, any kind of spirit really seems to do the trick. And you just want to get your consistency right. If you're not familiar with painting, you can look up different mixture ratios. I go by personal texture. Is totally up to you. If you want to test, try it out. Take a scrap piece of wood or something like that and give it a shot. See how long it takes to dry, what the final outcome looks like. When everything dries, you're going to want a can of this. I get them in wax. You want polyacrylic, water-based. You want polyacrylic because it dries like a hard acrylic finish. So especially if you're using it on a kitchen counter, especially because sometimes people tend to forget, use a cutting board and you're using knives on your counter. So you're definitely going to want a hard, a clear coat that sets up nice and hard, and you don't want something that's going to be soft. A lot of people have made the mistake and got the floor finish poly. It's not quite the same. I think it's an oil base for floors, like what I used on my garage floor. So if you're going to attempt this, make sure it is water-based polyacrylic, okay? And they come in different, I got the gloss for counters because it gives it a nice high sheen, like marble or granite, which is really appealing. So anyhow, and that's what I'm going to be doing in my second video. This is part 1. I'll show you what I'll be doing with my sponge, and you can use grout sponge cut up or whatever, but we'll get to that in video 2. But for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Kills primer here, you see here, and I've already stirred it. And you want to stir it. I use pieces of extra pipe that I have laying around. You don't want to just shake the can. You kind of want to stir it so that it gets mixed properly, because it is an oil base, and it tends to separate more. So you want to make sure that it's mixed really well. I use these, kind of remind me of memory foam, I guess. These little memory foam type rollers, and they work really nice. They seem to put a nice coverage on there. The main thing is you want to make sure that your surface is prepped. And you can see here this crappy Formica here. Right here we actually took some construction multi-purpose adhesive, because Formica, it likes to peel off over time. So we took and we reaffixed the front panel and the side over here where it come off, and I see where we missed a little portion here, but the primer will fill that in, and when it dries it will it'll be okay. But you want to make sure that your surface is clean, and all these you're seeing here are stains that were, a lot of them were actually here on the surface counter, on the counter surface when we bought this house. So I don't know what the people before us had sitting on these counters, but anyway, it doesn't come off. It's stained, or like bleach eats at something, I don't know. But this right here, where the sinks, the original sinks, were caulked in and mounted, I took a sanding block actually and sanded down this entire surface just to get the uneven portions out. So what you're seeing right now, and then I took hot water, and you don't have to use any kind of chemical cleaner. Hot water will suffice. And I just took a little mechanic brush like I pick up at AutoZone from time to time. They come in a really cheap pack with like wire brushes and stuff like that. And I just took and I scrubbed what would come off, the rest of it off, with some hot water, and then did a wipe down of the whole countertop and the front. And I sweeped out all the debris from, you know, when we were doing the walls and tearing shit down and what have you. I've got my air vent cover. I decided to go ahead and sand it down and resurface it. I actually just put clear coat on it, so it's drying right now as we speak in the garage. Now right here where the cabinet doors were, I already did the cabinet doors. I just took a mud spade, and it's super easy just to flatten these holes out, and just scraped them down even with a mud spade. To give you an idea, they're probably a little dusty. I need to wipe them off, but I actually did these cabinet doors a few weeks ago, the cabinet doors and the drawers, and I put new hardware on them. This is the oil base that I'm going to be using on the Vanity base. So that kind of gives you a rough idea, and I don't know if I'm holding this damn camera right, so bear with me. Turn it this way, maybe. I don't know. There. It gives you a rough idea of what the base will look like. If you can see here, maybe you can stand on the side there. I hope I'm giving you guys a decent view here. Please don't be angry with me. New at this video crap, so bear with me. But that gives you a rough idea, I suppose, of what it's going to look like, the base. And let me see if I can turn this back around. Alright, hi. So I'll show you a couple passes of how I apply this primer. And I generally, like, you can let it dry for about 30 minutes to an hour roughly, depending on how thick you want to put it on. I found if I put fans on it or whatever, or open my windows, I can't right now because it's really moist outside, it's raining, and extremely cold. So I'll start with a thin coat first, and I'll probably let it dry for anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour. And then I'll come in and I'll put another coat, and so on and so forth, until it has a good enough coverage for me. Everybody's different. You might want thinner, thicker, but with this Formica, and especially the base, because they come from a factory like that, and they have their own kind of clear coat on them, so it can take a couple of coats. That's why it's important that you make sure you get the Kiehl's oil-based primer. Okay, all right, so let's turn this around and see if I can do this one-handed. Here, let me show you. Let me see where I can start here. I'll start in this corner back here. Now, I haven't painted the walls yet because we're not quite done mudding them and finishing them. I'm going to start with this brush first because I like to... Now, I will have backsplash on this counter when it's done. I've got nice thick. Let me see here. Take and just smear that on there for a second. Get up in the corner, and there will be backsplash, so that gap that you're seeing there, once the backsplash is up, and I've got something in there that I must have missed. Dang it. These little pieces here. It's alright. Shit happens. Alright. And then I'm going to take this little nifty roller here. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it? I can't tell. Shit. Okay, I'm going to take this nifty little roller here. Just get a decent something on there. And I'm just going to bring... And you can see what I mean about... Because on these Formica counters, they do put a coat. Now this house was built in 2000, 2001, so they've been here for a while, so a lot of their sheen on the Formica is worn off. That's why I just took a sanding block and just, you know, kind of roughed it up a little bit. It makes it a little easier, gives it something to grab onto. But you can see here, you'll have to do a few of these coats. I go back and forth between the brush and the roller simply because when you want to get up really close, and I just gob it on the brush and I'll smear it, and then I'll take the roller and just kind of even it out. You want to get your primer as even as possible. That way you have a good balance, because when you do go to actually do the resurfacing portion, which will be in my second video, it does make a difference in the color of the counter if it is uneven when you actually go to put your prettiness on there, like some people call it prettiness. You go to beautify it, whatever you want to call it. Got little pieces in there, but that is basically what's going to happen. And I guess I could pause this video and go ahead and get the countertop rolled so you can at least see what it'll look like completely rolled. So I will do that. Okay, just to give you an idea, this is just the first coat, not done. Just to give you an idea of what it's going to begin to look like when you put this Kiehl's primer on there. And by the way, some of you may want to wear a mask for ventilation because this shit will get you high. You want to have a window open, have a fan, something, and I do. And I crack my window, and if it gets too bad, I actually have a spray mask that I will put on because it has a very potent smell. There's no mistaking it. And if you're not careful, you will get severe headaches. It can actually make you very nauseous. Yeah, and it will get you severely freaking high and kill them brain cells. So, all right, I'll give you all a turn around here. And I hope you can see, this is the counter. This is the first coat I've just kind of rolled on there. Okay, I have to cut in this little corner over here because this mud, you know, this finish here, or the drywall, finishing the drywall, this mud, it's kind of chalky. I try not to bump my roller against it too much, because some of that dust comes off and it can gunk up your primer. So I'll take the brush and I'll just cut that in there. But that's basically the gist of it. And the space right here will be primed, and right here these insets for the drawers. So yeah, I've got to roll over all this and put a bunch of coats on. So yeah, that's about it. This is video 1. Just kind of practicing making videos here and getting used to people, you know, seeing me. So let's see what happens. I'm not so nervous or stressed out making this video this time. Well, I'm a natural born ham anyway. It's just being here in North Carolina, I've been kind of not, been way out of my realm. I'm not used to still. And I've been up here since 2007, and I still can't get used to it.